Hey everybody, welcome to our brand new Atlas feature release. And there are a lot of things to walk through. First in this video, we're going to talk about our brand new people list. And you'll see on the left-hand side of your navigation that the navigation looks a little bit different. We've now included in Atlas Martial Arts software a brand new unified people list. And this gives you the opportunity to look at your list of people, your students, your prospects, your just leads, anything, community members, other contacts, basically any way you choose to, any way you want to. So if you look at the left-hand side navigation, you now have you obviously still have your prospects, your buyers, your students, and others, meaning just contacts, but you also have the opportunity to go to all people. And truthfully, what's happening is we're actually, all of these lists live in one place. So if I go to all people as an example, you'll see now that you have this sort of master people grid, and you have the ability to filter them by whatever person type you like. So my recommendation would be the first stop that you make along your building up your list is here at the person type filter level, right? So when you get to your people list, you say, okay, well, really what I'm looking for are just my students. Or maybe and these are multi-select. So maybe I'm looking for my students and my buyers. So you can click both. You'll get the list combined. Or maybe I just only want my, I don't want my buyers, I don't want my students, I just want my prospects and my other contacts. Maybe that's what I want. Right? Or maybe I just want my, maybe I also want my students in that list as well. So you can multi-select these, tick them on, tick them off, however you see fit. That's a very cool feature that we've added so that you now have the ability to, email your entire list if you wanted to, or text message everybody in your whole database if you wanted to, or in some way slice and dice that list up and communicate with them differently. So the first feature to point out is this, again, this multi-select person type filter. Also, if you look over here on the left-hand side, we also give you shortcuts to each of these basically. So let's say I already know I'm on the dashboard as an example, or maybe I'm in the agreement section, and I already know I want to go back and look at my buyers. Well, you can just go straight there. You click that buyers link, and you go back to your list already sorted by buyers, if that makes any sense. So what I'd also point out, anytime you select a person type, or you select the person type up here at the top, you'll get automatically the filters that are associated with that person type, right? So for example, here in the student section, I get some automatic filters that are already sort of shown to me by default. I get my agreement type. I can filter by agreement type. Is it a trial, a regular, or a kids, meaning an after-school program agreement? I get the agreement status, is it expired? I get the rank filter of the students that are on that agreement, the belt eligibility, if they have enough classes to take their belt test, tip eligibility. I also get their attendance range, like when have they come to the last class, things like that. So I get those filters automatically. Now obviously the filters for a prospect are different. So if I turn off students and I turn on prospects, now I get some special prospect related filters. So I get the date that prospect was created. I get the program that they were interested in when they were a prospect. The advertising source that they came from. Did they respond to a radio ad or a Facebook ad? The channel that they responded by. So did they call me after they saw my radio ad? Did they fill out a web form after they saw my radio ad? Whatever the case might be. And the type of person, is it a new prospect, a previous student, or a previous buyer? And I can filter by ages as well. So these are, again, each person type up here has its own set of special filters that you can use to find the things that you're looking for. In addition to that, each of the people type, you'll see come populated with sets of columns that you can pick from. So if I hit my prospect list, we give you a predefined set of a few columns that you most commonly are going to be looking for when you're looking at your prospects. For example, what advertising source did my prospect come from? What program were they interested in when they were a prospect, etc. Right? Now, those are just defaults. So let's drill into that a little deeper. If I go to my student list, we give you several of the student columns that you might be looking for. So for example, you might be looking at their last attended, or their rating, or their style, or their rank, things like that, the things that are most common when you're looking at students. But in addition to that, we also give you the column chooser. So at any point along your journey, you can go over to the column chooser and pick other columns you might want. So for example, in the student list, I might want, I don't know, I might want to know how many of the teams that student is on, or maybe what weight class that student is in. Maybe in competition or something like that, or maybe their belt size, right? So I can just tick those columns, add them to the grid, and you'll see that they'll populate over here. They'll show up in your student list. Now you have the ability to, again, slice and dice the list basically however you want, right? Just know that when I click one of these people type, like for example, buyers, we sort of reorient the columns and give you a few of the columns that we believe you're going to want, right? Some of just by default. So when I'm looking for buyers, I usually want to know what agreement type they were, or the agreements that buyer is on, or the upgrade. Was it an upgrade or a standard agreement? So that's how that works. It's very, very slick. So again, I'd suggest that you initially start by choosing the person type that you like, and then you can add or remove any columns that you don't want to see or want to see in your grid. And then, as always, you have the ability to save that view. So let's say, for example, let's run through just a scenario. Let's say I want a list of all of my Black Belt Club members. So my first stop is I'm going to look at students. I'm going to go over here to the program. Let's see. Okay, I don't have the program column here, so I'm going to go to the column chooser, and I'm going to add student programs. Here are the programs. So now I'm going to filter that by, let's say, all-day yoga. This is test data, so I'm going to filter that by all-day yoga. Now I get my 16 students who are in my all-day yoga program, or in this argument, like my Black Belt Club, right? So I get those 16 students. I can go now over here to save this view, click that button, and I can type all-day yoga students and hit save. And now I've got that list saved. Anytime I come back to my grid, anywhere in the people list, I can go back to my saved views, hit my all-day yoga students, and I'll be brought back to this exact same filter, exactly the way it's set up right now, this list the way it's set up right now. If I turn off a couple of these columns and then save the list again, it'll bring me back without those columns, right? So that saved list is going to remember every setting that I have in this list built up. So I think that'll be a very useful tool for you for many, 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 many reasons.